Guys, I think early on, just you were concerned a little bit how your team would come out because you hadn't played for so long. But I thought our kids came out and executed extremely well. I thought Grant Wells is a young quarterback. You wanted to take care of the football. We did that. And just like I say, excited about the way our guys went out and played.
Doc, I was just going to ask you, remember during the week you talked about letting Grant play his game and not holding him back, and it looks like you did that, and he kind of responded, obviously.
Well, he did. Like I say, I told you guys early on, I've got great confidence in Grant, and I saw the same thing I saw out there today that we saw every day in practice. He made some tremendous throws, and critical thing is he took care of the football. Like I say, went into that game as a young guy and took care of the ball, which was huge.
Doc, how important was it to get him a couple easy throws early? I know that he started with a quick screen to Brock, just sort of getting his feet wet, and then it just seemed like his confidence built from there.
Yeah, there's no question. You want to give him a couple completions early on there, and he did that. And it kind of went as you can't hardly script it much better than what it went, which was huge. And, like I say, I thought that offensive line, I thought our backs ran extremely well. I thought the receivers made a lot of big-time plays, and that was all good to see. And, of course, it starts with our defense. Our defense went out there and shut those guys out, which was huge. And I thought our kicking game was solid. Prior to the game at the hotel, we talked about being the best team on the field and in all three phases, and there's no question we were that there this afternoon.
Were you a little bit surprised, Doc, that you were so crisp and sharp in a game in a season that has had so many ups and downs before you even started?
I was. I felt going into that game. We just hadn't done anything. You missed spring ball, and you worry about how well we tackle. I thought going in, we're going to have a lot of missed tackles and that type of thing. But I thought the game was clean. Proud of the way our guys played. And, they've done a good job with their preparation, and we've gotten a lot of practices in, and you could see that on the field today. I thought it was pretty crisp and pretty clean for not playing in a while.
I know that Grant Wells is the guy that's going to get a lot of the recognition for this game, and all eyes were on him coming in. But Eli Neal was a guy that I thought really made a few plays for you at the linebacker spot. And it was a needed spot that you all needed to see somebody step up.
No question. Those linebackers are, with the exception of Beckett, they are all new. And I saw some young faces in there. I thought Bo Plan fly around, make some plays. Charlie Gray made a couple of plays. Cavalcante. And so, the great thing about that game was, and I mentioned it earlier, is you don't know what second half, just probably with the exception of that first drive in the second half, we played our backups the entire second half. And, it was great to have the opportunity to do that because those guys may be starting sometime with the situation we're in right now. So it was great to see that entire offensive line go in there and play a bunch of plays along with Luke Saban, along with those two young tailbacks and young receivers. And same thing defensively. You saw a lot of players out there in the second half, which we hope will, at some point, hopefully we don't need them during the season as starters, but at some point you may.
Doc, you talked about the offensive line. How much did that help Saban really settle in, and especially Grant there in the first part of the game, settle in and get that first drive down the field so easily?
Well, I don't think there's any question, when you get that offensive line out there, they're a solid group that Grant and Saban, all of them have, tremendous. And I thought our second offensive line went in the second half and did basically the same thing. So it was great to see those guys go in there. I know our quarterbacks have a lot of confidence in those guys, and they got their jobs done today.
And looking at your all's weapons, Doc, you look at this game, and Grant did a good job of spreading the ball around, but guys were pretty consistent, whether it was the first group of receivers, second group of receivers. Woodyard gets in there and gets a big catch, gets in behind the defense. It seemed like ones and twos all were really productive there, especially Luke and getting one to Amir Richardson late too.
Yeah, that was great to see all those young players get in and make some plays. And like I think we had 13 different receivers catch the ball. It hadn't happened in a while around here, so that was good to see those guys step up and make plays when their number was called. And like I say, we're going to need all those guys this year before the season's over.
Doc, you kind of had to walk a fine line too with Grant. You want to get him reps, but you don't want to run up the score. So is that about how much you thought he'd play? Obviously, you took him out after that first series.
Going into that game, I didn't have any idea. I thought that that team gave us fits a couple of years ago, and so I didn't know exactly how the game was going to play out, but it kind of played out exactly like if I had to write a script, if I could have scripted it, that's the way I wanted it, because it was good for us to get. Other than that first drive of the second half, we got Saban and those guys in there the entire second half, so that's going to help us down the road.
you look at Knowledge McDaniel, and he ends up leading in rushing by coming in over that last quarter and a half, whatever. But it's a guy that you've talked about in the preseason as somebody that could break out. You know about Knox, you know about Evans, but what has Knowledge really brought to the table that you've really liked?
Well, he's physical. I mean, he's 225 pounds. You know, he's a big guy that's got great skill set and can run. And, you know, I like him and Pop both. You know, we got a young backer freshman that wasn't out there today because he had a little bit of an injury the other deal, but we like him as well. So that, like I said, running back room is a solid room that we feel really good about.
Especially in first games, the consistency factor, especially offensively, is normally kind of scattered, but just looking off of it, it looks like 6 or 7 drives of over 60 yards plus. Is that more of the offensive line or about the quarterback?
I think all of the above. You know, I thought our guys executed, and you know, there wasn't a lot of penalties. You know, it was a clean game. I mean, I'm not sure how many penalties we ended up having, but it wasn't many. And you know, I thought for first games, I thought it was clean. You know, with not a lot of penalties. Number one, and number two, we took care of the football. You know, we didn't turn the ball over, which was huge. And anytime you can do that, then you can sustain drives.
Is it a situation, Coach, where you'd like to really be playing next week, coming off a really sharp performance, but of course, with everything that's happened, you got to wait another week?
No question. You'd like to. You know, at the end of the day, Keith, I mean, hell, we got 2 games the whole month of September. You know, I mean, we're playing 2 games, and then hopefully we get in, you know, after that second one, I think we had another week off, then Rice comes in. So we got a lot of time off, and, you know, we just got to, you know, we've never been in this situation, you know, how you manage it. And, you know, it's early in the season. You don't like open dates this early in the season, but it's what it is. I mean, we got to make it work. You know, we got to take advantage of the time we had to prepare, because there's no doubt that we got a great opportunity here in a couple of weeks against an excellent football team.
Look at the way you were able to platoon your receivers, especially the second group that came in early, and those guys seemed to settle in well. How satisfying was that to see the performance from those guys early on?
Well, I was happy. I mean, last year, last year we struggled at that receiver position because we got some guys hurt early on, and then Brock was a freshman and Talik was a freshman, and we had some young kids. And, you know, I just felt like, number one, those young guys have grown up, and we've added Shadeed, and we've added Woodyard, and we've added a couple guys to the mix. And so I like where those guys are right now. We're a whole lot better at that position what we were a year ago, because we got guys that can run, we got guys that can make some plays, and they had a lot of production out of that group today, which was great to see.
How do you keep the momentum? You know, like you said, you've got a week and a half before, you know, you see Appy State here in a couple of weeks. What do you do this week to make sure that momentum stays from today's performance?
Well, I think we need to give these kids a couple. You know, the thing about right now, we'll give them a couple of days off. But, you know, just everything you know, you just got to, I mean, it's like I told them in the locker room there after the game. I mean, guys, we got to, you know, times are different right now. I mean, we got to make sure we're accountable, and we've got great leadership. And, you know, these guys have got to make sure that, you know, how about they got to go home, take care of each other, and they can't go out and they can't do anything because, you know, we got to keep all these guys together. So they're going to get a couple of days off, but we'll bring them in tomorrow and lift and do that kind of thing, and give them Monday off and give them Tuesday off and get back Wednesday, you know, preparing for that team app coming in here.
Good.
Good.
We're good.
Good. Thanks, guys.